Japan Journal, the Internet's #1 English language online cybercast from Japan. Good evening once again, everyone, and welcome to Brother Malcolm's Ancient Japanese Words of Wisdom. Check out the following. Naite kurasu mo isho, waratte kurasu mo isho. In other words, it is the same life whether we spend it crying or laughing. Once more, naite, naite means to cry, kurasu mo isho. Waratte, waratte means to laugh, kurasu mo isho. Naite kurasu mo isho. Waratte kurasu mo isho. It is the same life whether we spend it crying or laughing. Okay? Nara korobi ya oki. Nana means 7. Korobi means to fall over. Ya is 8. Oki is to rise or get up. So, nara korobi ya oki means to fall 7 times, to rise 8 times. That's a positive thought, isn't it? You can't lose if you do that. If you fall down 7 times and you get up 8, you're ahead of the game. Nana korobi ya oki. To fall 7 times, to rise 8 times. And then finally, sugitaru wa nao oyobazaru ga gotoshi. Sugitaru wa nao oyobazaru ga gotoshi. Let what is past flow away downstream. Okay? All right. Now, I had a very interesting question today on this week's edition of Brother Mao's Ancient Japanese Words of Wisdom from my longtime friend Masaharu Yoshioka. And Masaharu asked me a quote. He says, oh, a little language goes a long way. That's what I've heard on FEN a long time ago. He says, I love this kind of thing. Please teach me about the Japanese phrase Wabi Sabi in English. Well, that is a brilliant question. And you know, there is no one single word to explain what Wabi Sabi means. Wabi Sabi represents a comprehensive Japanese worldview or aesthetic centered on the acceptance of transience. And the aesthetic is sometimes described as one of beauty that is imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. And that in itself is a concept derived from the Buddhist teaching of the 3 marks of existence, specifically impermanence, or 3 marks of existence, the Samboin, impermanence, which is mujo, the other 2 being suffering, dukkha, and emptiness or absence of self-nature, sunyata. That's some of those words are Sanskrit, derived from the Sanskrit of ancient India. So, the characteristics of the Wabi Sabi aesthetic include asymmetry, asperity, roughness or irregularity, simplicity, economy, austerity, modesty, intimacy, and appreciation of the ingenious integrity of natural objects and processes. So, Wabi Sabi is the most conspicuous and characteristic feature of the traditional Japanese beauty, and it occupies roughly the same position in the Japanese pantheon of aesthetic values as do the Greek ideas of beauty and perfection in the West. If an object or expression can bring about within us a sense of serene melancholy and a spiritual longing, then that object could be said to be Wabi Sabi. Wabi Sabi nurtures all that is authentic by acknowledging 3 simple realities. Nothing lasts, nothing is finished, and nothing is perfect. So the words Wabi and Sabi do not translate easily. Wabi originally referred to the loneliness of living in nature, remote from society. Sabi meant chill, lean, or withered. And around the 14th century, these meanings began to change, taking on more positive connotations. Wabi now connotes rustic simplicity, freshness, or quietness, and can be applied to both natural and human-made objects, or understated elegance in a word or 2. It can also refer to quirks or anomalies arising from the process of construction, which add uniqueness and elegance to the object. Sabi is beauty or serenity that comes with age, when the life of the object and its impermanence are evidenced in its patina and wear or in any visible repairs. After centuries of incorporating artistic and Buddhistic, if I may use that word, artistic and Buddhist influences from China, Wabi Sabi eventually evolved into a distinctly Japanese ideal. Over time, the meanings of Wabi and Sabi shifted to become more light-hearted and hopeful. And around 700 years ago, particularly among the Japanese nobility, understanding emptiness and imperfection was honored as tantamount to the first step to Satori, or enlightenment, or nirvana in the Buddhist tradition. So in today's Japan, the meaning of Wabi Sabi is often considered to be wisdom in natural simplicity. And in art and in music, as I wrote on the Facebook page to Masaharu, it is typically defined as flawed beauty, if you can understand that concept. So, from an engineering or design point of view, Wabi may be interpreted as the imperfect quality of an object due to inevitable limitations in design and construction manufacture, especially with respect to unpredictable or changing usage conditions. So a good example of this embodiment may be seen in certain types of or styles of Japanese pottery. In the Japanese tea ceremony, the pottery items are used often rustic and simple looking, that is to say, hagiware, with shapes that are not quite symmetrical, and colors or textures that appear to emphasize an unrefined or simple style. In reality, these items can be quite expensive, and in fact, it is up to the knowledge and observational ability of the participant to notice and discern the hidden signs of a truly excellent design or glaze, akin to the appearance of a diamond in the rough. This may be interpreted as a kind of wabi-sabi aesthetic, further confirmed by the way the color of the glazed items is known to change over time as hot water is repeatedly poured into them, sabi. And the fact that tea bowls are often deliberately chipped or nicked at the bottom, wabi, which serves as a kind of signature of the hagiyaki style. Wabi and sabi both suggest sentiments of desolation and solitude. In the Mahayana Buddhist view of the universe, these may be viewed as positive characteristics representing liberation from a material world and transcendence to a simpler life. Mahayana philosophy itself, however, warns that genuine understanding cannot be achieved through words or language. So accepting wabi-sabi on non-verbal terms may be the most appropriate approach. So Masaharu, no matter what I can tell you about that term in using English language, it falls short. We must accept wabi-sabi on non-verbal terms, and that may be the most appropriate approach, and that is why it is so difficult to translate or interpret. Simon Brown notes that wabi-sabi describes a means whereby students can learn to live life through the senses and better engage in life as it happens rather than be caught up in unnecessary thoughts. In this sense, wabi-sabi is the material representation of Zen Buddhism. The idea is that being surrounded by natural, changing, unique objects helps us connect to our real world and escape potentially stressful distractions. In one sense, wabi-sabi is a training whereby the student of wabi-sabi learns to find the most simple objects interesting, fascinating, and beautiful. Fading autumn leaves would be an example. Wabi-sabi can change our perception of the world to the extent that a chip or a crack in a vase makes it more interesting and gives the object greater meditative value. Similarly, materials that age, such as bare wood, paper, and fabric, become more interesting as they exhibit changes that can be observed over time. So the wabi and sabi concepts are religious in origin, but actual usage of the words in Japanese is often quite casual. The syncretic nature of Japanese belief systems should be noted. So I want to thank Masaharu for asking that very important question, and this is our attempt at providing some understanding as to what that means. All right? All right. And that's going to do it for this edition of Brother Malcolm's Ancient Words of Japanese Wisdom right here on Facebook and YouTube. So stick and stay, don't you dare go away, because we're coming at you with more on another day of this exciting and educational segment of communicating and reaching out to you on this social media from beautiful downtown Kakiya City here in Shizuoka Prefecture in the middle of the Japanese archipelago. I'm your host and your pal Mal, uptight behind this mic, moving and grooving, jiving and diving, stumbling and fumbling my way through this video showgram, internet, Facebook, YouTube program. Peace and a pound of hair grease. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya unless you're right here, tuned in to Brother Malcolm's Ancient Words of Wisdom segment. Thank you, and make it a great day.
Japan Journal, the Internet's #1 English language online cybercast from Japan.